This infestation will sometimes get very severe before you'll even notice it. Like this is a very severe infestation, and I did not notice it till just now. You see the rough bumpiness here. This is all scale. This is the scale insect. I just noticed that my flowering maple is completely and severely infested, all the way down from the base, all the way up through, not quite to the ends, because scale doesn't usually focus on the new tip growth, but it has a severe infestation. Now, if you had a small one, if you had caught it early, which I did not, then you could address it with rubbing alcohol. Use something like this. This is a rubbing alcohol. Put some on a little cotton swab tip and come in and you touch it right to that scale insect and it will dry them out and kill them. It is difficult to really control scale from any method that touches on the outside. Spraying them with a pesticide is rarely effective at all. The best way to control them is before they get started, use a systemic insecticide. That's one that the plant takes into itself and makes itself poisonous to whatever is getting started on it. Your infestations will not start. You can check for sure this is the scale rather than like a root trying to get budded, because you push on it and it'll give a little pop and it will squirt out from underneath that scale. That insect right there is sucking on the leaves and the juices and sucking them right out of that plant. Like I said, this is a pretty severe infestation. It is all up and down, dozens and dozens and dozens, right up within a couple inches of stem. Now this plant has been outside and I just brought it in. I didn't follow my own advice by putting a systemic down before I brought it in, or trimming it way back before I brought it in, or even spraying it down with neem oil like I normally do before I brought it in. I moved and had other things going on, and this is the reason why you don't want to do that. You don't want to skip doing that. I'm going to have to immediately remove this from the rest of my plants, keep it on the rest of my plants very, very well to see what else might be infested. Now, I also have some aphids getting started. I can see them on the new growth, like up on this flower bud. Right there you can see some aphids. So this plant has a lot going on. I'm going to, being this is early winter, I'm going to go straight in and prune this way back. It's going to remove almost all the infestation from this plant. And I will put a systemic on the soil so the new growth will be protected, and keep a super close eye on all the rest of my plants to see that it hasn't spread to anybody else. Here you can see the base of more of that plant, where I'm going to go right ahead and prune this way back to the base. Just above a leaf bud is a good place to prune this to, or a leaf crotch where this is coming out of. This one's pretty good without many insects on it, so I'm going to cut it up there to have some branching. But if you can see this bud right here, I'm going to cut to right after that, so I have a branch right there. Same here. There's a bud right here. I'm going to cut right above to that. And I am taking all of this growth off. It is going to remove that scale infestation completely. It's also going to completely remove the aphid infestation. And again, I'm cutting this one right here because there's a bud facing the other way here. It's just above that bud. Now, when this new growth gets started, which will happen quite quickly because of the size root system that is on this plant, it's a vigorous plant. I'm going to, as soon as it grows just about that high, I'm just going to nip the very end. That will encourage that to branch as it's going along rather than have long straight shoots out of there. These are a couple of just young plants I had picked up at the nursery. I do not see an infestation on them. They were sitting in here just because it was easier to water them in the larger pot. Thought I might have seen an aphid, but I don't see one right now. So I'll continue to let them sit in here just for watering's sake. It's easier to keep them moist sitting on top of this larger pot. And I'll check the rest of my plants here to make sure there's no infestation that has moved to my other plants or actually came from any of the new ones. And there we go. It is all pruned right back. Let me move those baby plants out of the way so let me move the cut plants out of the way so you can see better what that looks like. It has been cut right back.